Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes, and it is a very busy Friday. NBC News has learned that Donald Trump's Justice Department offered Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, limited immunity during her conversations with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Of course, there have been all sorts of developments on the relationship between Trump and Epstein. Today, I've been chatting with the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, regarding that relationship. Things got a little newsy, and those details are ahead. It all started last week when the Wall Street Journal published this report about that, frankly, weird message from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein as part of a book of letters for the child sex trafficker's 50th birthday. You know, the one with the drawing of a nude woman and Trump's scribbled name as the pubic hair? Of course, Trump immediately made a big show of denying he wrote the letter. There was no letter. And even if there was, he said it wasn't his words. And he never wrote a picture in his life. And he sued the Wall Street Journal, along with others, for $10 billion. Now, our Vice President, J.D. Vance, who, as far as we can tell, hasn't been seen in public with Trump since this stuff got so messy and spends a lot of time on Twitter, did make a statement on Twitter many hours after the Wall Street Journal report. Quote, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter BS. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing." Where is the letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump? Ah, yes, where is the letter? I wonder if there really even is a letter. There's the fake news at it again. Well, last night, we got some more information. You see, the New York Times published a report that Trump's name was indeed one of the many listed as contributors for that birthday book for Epstein. That reporting included this handwritten letter by Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, as something of an introduction for the book. And it also included this photograph of a different book, Trump's 1997 The Art of the Comeback, with the future president inscribed to one Jeffrey Epstein, quote to Jeff, "You are the greatest." But that's not all we learned last night. The Wall Street Journal also followed up on the birthday book, revealing a bunch of other folks, apparently including letters of their own. People from Vera Wang to the former President Bill Clinton, who praised Epstein's, quote, childlike curiosity. Now, for what it's worth, Clinton's camp declined to comment to the Journal about that reporting, but pointed to a previous statement the ex-president cut off all ties with Epstein before he was arrested in 2019 and knew nothing of his crimes. Now, this was an interesting development because the Trump camp, I mean, again, $10 billion lawsuit, right, has been calling this letter fake for a week now. But Trump himself is the one who first injected Epstein into the political discourse a decade ago when he tried to attack the Clintons for their ties to the disgraced financier.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
So I figured with these new developments, I would follow it up with J.D. Vance about his suggestion the Trump letter is just BS fake news. Luckily, I have a direct line to the vice president because the guy spends a lot of time on Twitter, or X. So I asked him, so this is probably fake too, right, J.D. Vance? The whole thing made up, or maybe just the Trump part? I'm losing the thread a little, I gotta say. The contention is that the book is entirely fake, or Trump being a contributor is fake, or all that is real, but someone created a totally fake Trump letter and then stuck it in the real book? Now, to his credit, the VP, who sort of holds open office hours over there on X, decided to engage with my questions with a lengthy response. Quote, "The contention," which is pretty clear if you just read what I said, "is that it's bogus for the Wall Street Journal to publish a hit piece without showing us the letter. I have no idea if the book exists. Wall Street Journal won't show it to us. I have no idea if the letter exists. Wall Street Journal won't show it to us. What I find absurd is the idea that Donald Trump was writing poems to Epstein, and I find it equally absurd that a major American paper would attack the president of the United States without revealing the basis for the attack. We all know what's going to happen. They're going to dribble little details out for days or weeks in an effort to assassinate the president's character. They won't show us this book or allow us to refute it until they've wrung every bit of fake news out of the story. And everyone will just move on from the fact that the WSJ is acting like a Democrat super PAC. It's disgraceful, and it's why the president sued." Now, I have to say, on at least one point, I agree with the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. As I said, quote, "In point of fact, the contention isn't about journalistic process, and the lawsuit certainly isn't. Trump called the letter fake and sued for defamation. Like you, I'd love to see the book produced, which I think is what you're calling for. We're in agreement. What's more, if you find it absurd that Donald Trump is writing cryptic poems and lewd sketches to Jeffrey Epstein, I really suggest you do a little Googling about your boss." I'm still waiting for a response to that one. But that relationship between Trump and Epstein is what makes part of Vance's response so telling. When he talks about folks dribbling little details out about the relationship, that's because there are a lot of details to dribble. The guys were associates. They were friends. They were close. They both had reputations for their behavior with women dating back years. It's why you see this video of the two men leering at women practically every night on this program. The entire relationship between the two guys was out in the open for at least a decade. That's why we reported on this show consistently. Trump went on record with New York Magazine 23 years ago to boast about how Epstein likes young women. Somehow the entire Trump administration forgot about that relationship when it decided to make the Epstein files one of the top priorities of this second term. So now, of course, they're desperate to make this go away, even going so far as to dangle a pardon in front of the only person to actually serve real time for Epstein's crimes, his accomplice and fellow abuser of children, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she cooperated?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about. A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got.
Now, of course, by going out of his way to say he hasn't thought about a pardon, but he's allowed to do it, he's raising the possibility of a pardon. It seemed as though Maxwell's lawyer understood the message.
She literally answered every question. She didn't say, you know what, don't ask me that. I'm not going to talk about this person. She was asked maybe about 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody, and she didn't hold anything back. We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And you know, listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way. Maybe Maxwell can use some of what she told Trump's personal attorney, now the #2 Department of Justice, to spring herself out of prison where she's serving a sentence for like the systematic predation and assault of girls. It's all just unfathomably cynical and gross. But Trump really wants to move on from this story, for everyone to forget about his relationship with Epstein.
You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing. You should be talking about, if you're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton, talk about the former president of Harvard, talk about all of his friends, talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump. I'm not focused on conspiracy theories that you are. I mean, I watch you people. It's so sad. You ought to talk about the success of our country instead of this nonsense you talk about over and over again.
However the president tries to spin this, the facts are the facts. And I agree with J.D. Vance. We are on the same page on this. The facts should come out.